Can't take me anywhere. Just can't take me anywhere. Well, good morning. Welcome, everyone. It's such a treat to see everybody here today. We have a fun day planned. First, I will tell you we have Dining with the Dudes. That's always, Dining with the Dudes is the day to come to church. Because we are the church that loves to eat. I tell people, what's your church like? We're the church that loves to eat. So, what? Treat and eat, that's right. And move your feet, all of those. So thank you all. So please join us for Dining with the Dudes. It's always great. And then we have to take a brief break for a commercial, just a brief commercial break.
Ready?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3.
Take me out to the gourmets. Take me out to an event. Register first and then place your bids. Mark up your book so you don't forget to come back. So bid for your favorite. If you don't win, it's a shame, because it's 1, 2, 3 bids, you're out of the auction game. Hi, everyone. It's Julie.
And Kendra.
Your Gourmets for God Goddesses on deck for another week of the only fundraiser you can eat. To remind you to step up to the plate and place your bids now.
This is no curveball. Bidding is actually happening today after service in Papke Hall. See the newsletter or the Gourmets for God page section on the website, www.wvcsl. Under About Us, click the announcements and find the Gourmets for God page for the event listings. But this year, bidding in person is a home run.
You will need to register in person and receive your bidder number and a catalog before you start bidding. Once you have those, you're ready to round those bases and place your bids on your favorite events. Don't strike out by not showing up for an event or changing dates. Check your calendars before placing your bids and be sure to commit to the date when you bid.
Go for the double play and remember to bid on separate lines for your spouse or friend to join you. Each event has a specific number of spots, and if you're one of the highest individual bids, you win 1 spot at the event. There are no foul balls here because there are events for every budget. All winning bids are financially binding.
The bases are loaded. It's the bottom of the 9th. Be sure to check back and make sure you don't swing and miss. Bidding ends next Sunday, October 16th.
Get in the big leads and slide into those bids because it's a steal. Yeah, that's the sign. Thanks, Dad. All right.
And play ball! Together, we are big for fun.
See, we are the church that loves to eat. And laugh, yes. Thank you. And along with the fun that we just had, the 29th, is it? 30th? The Boo Bash. 29th. Saturday the 29th is the Boo Bash. It's going to be great fun. The Bradfords and more will be there. Bradfords and crew. And they'll be...
We'll have the full band.
The full band. Oh, and I don't know if y'all remember the last time we had them with their full band. It was fabulous. I've never seen dancing go on quite as much as it did that day. So do register, do buy a ticket today. It is well worth it. Even I, who won't put a costume on, will be there. But do wear a costume if you're braver than I am. Let's see. And on the 23rd of this month, Reverend Karen is going to do the Introduction to Science of Mind. That is just a brief overview of Science of Mind, the basic principles that would give you just the first picture of what we believe. So it is free of charge. It's the 23rd, and I didn't write down the time. Right after service. All right. So that's the most enjoyable things we have going on. But if you look at the newsletter, you will see that there are many, many more. But now I'd like to go through our vision statement together. So if you will say it with me. We are a loving, joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live our science of mind principles. And one last thing is, if you'd like prayer, there's a prayer box in the back on the table back there, and also one in Papke Hall, or in the bookstore, and a public one that you could put on the wall. So one of the things that the practitioners most love to do is pray. So if you have a prayer request, please let us know. It is the best part of our day, I believe. So, and with that, we'll all shift gears into the quiet and the meditative and time with the Bradfords and the reading.
So just take a deep breath and let's get grounded in our peace.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Oh, be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
And in this quiet place, the sacred space, there's one mind, one essence, one love, one joy. And I choose to call this essence God. And this essence is all there is, all there ever has been, and all there ever will be. And I recognize and know that I am a part of this essence. I'm not the whole essence. I'm just part of this essence. Therefore, all this God is, I am: love, joy, beauty, peace, freedom, light, abundance, prosperity. And as I know this is my truth, I know this is truth for each of us here, each of us watching. In fact, I know this for the whole planet, all 7 billion of us, God sparks. As God shows up in wondrous ways through us. And I give thanks that this service is absolutely perfect in the way it is supposed to be. Reverend Clyde's words are perfect, carries the message that we take and show forth. The Bradford's music blesses our souls, and we join in joyous song and connect to our spirit. So I just release this into the law, knowing It is already done. And together we say, and so it is. I have a new book. I always have to share when I get new books. This is called Wisdom for the Soul, 5 Millennia of Prescriptions for Spiritual Healing. Ta-da! Is this not cool? Well, actually, Reverend Karen got me onto it. So, of course, she said, and I said, okay, I'll buy. So I did. Because I take suggestions. So today, what it does is it gives you like 200 different topics you can look at, and then it gives you prayers and all kinds of stuff to go along with those topics. So today I'm going to do growth and expansion. And it's got like 3 pages. So this comes from George Thomas Locke, Land, 1933 to 1973, I think, out of the book Grow or Die. The nature of a cell, just like what we call human nature, is not something that is, but something that is forever in the process of becoming. It is not wholly determined, but plays a great part in determining itself. As a human recapitulates the same series of events that take place in the life of a cell, his behavior depends on the alternative available for growth. If the condition for nutrition and feedback permit new growth patterns, the result will be creative and responsible behavior. We do not grow absolutely chronologically. We grow sometimes in one dimension and not in another, unevenly. We grow partially. We are relative. We are mature in one realm, childish in another. The past, present, and future mingle and pull us backward, forward, or fix us in the present. We are made up of layers, cells, and constellations. That's from Annis Nin, 1903 to 1977. Is life so wretched? It isn't rather your hands which are too small, your vision which is muddied. You are the one who must grow up. I like that. So let's think about that. And so it is.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come from living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder that I didn't realize that I can do nothing I have to do on my own. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? And will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Sing it with us. I am the place where its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Thank you, Bradfords. I asked them to play that song. That's one of my favorite songs. I don't know if you guys, some of you might remember Reverend Cheryl had a talk, and she played that song over and over throughout the whole entire song, and I had to run out and buy it. And so that's one of my power songs that I have that I actually play to myself in the car or whenever I'm going to some important meeting or something. So, or it reminds me the power that I have. So. Anyway, so welcome. My name is Reverend Clyde Goins, the assistant minister here. Reverend Karen is out. Our spiritual leader is out today. She has family in town, and they're having a good time. That's all I'm going to say, nothing else. So we are just going to bless her and her family to enjoy their time and her time off, and all of them getting together. So, and I wait to get together with her to hear all the wonderful experiences. So. And I'm also happy because of the weather's changing, and so this nice cool weather. And so I have a really nice backyard, and Mark got the backyard all cleaned up, and we've got our fountain going. And so it's the time of the year where we can, leave that sliding glass door open. We have the fountain running in the morning, and we have it running early, like 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's really peaceful and quiet, and just to hear that fountain is just beautiful. So it just brings music to my ear. So that's why I started my day this morning. All right, so the title of my talk is Experiencing Heaven on Earth. And I really do believe that we experience heaven or God, but the question is, we want to experience it more, or how can we experience it more? So a couple, one second, nope, wrong way. Sorry, there we go. So a couple of months ago, I was talking to one of our community members, and she was telling me that she wished that we talked about God more. And I feel like that we talk about God all the time. We don't focus on God as a being, but we talk about God all the time because there's no separation. We focus on spiritual principles and how they work. We focus on tools to clear all the negative baggage that separates us from God or experiencing heaven. When we do the work, what's left is God. We experience beauty, creativity, abundance, and love. God is always present. We just have layers of baggage that we need to filter through so we can feel that connection with God. So let's talk about how we can remove some of those layers. So I want to start off with who am I? When we remove all the labels, like our family roles, our work titles, our hobbies, our spiritual titles, what is left? A spiritual being having a human experience. We are individualized expressions of God experiencing life, and this is where the fun begins. Everything is energy. Everything, including us. We are made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. When I say everything, I mean everything. Scientists have proven that at a molecular level, there's no separation, right? Everything is connected on that molecular level. We identify these objects as being separate because they look and they feel different from us. This energy is always changing. Life or God is always creating from itself. Everything is temporary. So can we begin to see that everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies and everything is temporary? Why are we taking everything personal? Why does it feel like life is hard sometimes? Why is our joy and happiness also temporary? Buddhism teaches us that the root of all human suffering is that we try to hold on to things. The world around us is an illusion, and the real world is the one that we need to pay attention to, and that's the one that's going on inside of us. So my talk today is inspired by Michael Singer. He wrote 3 books, and the one that I just finished reading was his 3rd one, which is Living the Untethered Soul. I strongly recommend all 3 books. They're really incredible. He was working on his PhD in economics, and he wanted to quiet the mind chatter. So he learned the power of meditation, and it changed his life. At one point, he was meditating like 5 hours a day. So when I was reading his third book, I love the way that he writes, and it just really speaks to me. I only read one chapter a day because I wanted the book to last. So our journey through life is to discover our truth, our true self. And when we do, we will experience more God and heaven on earth. We come together every Sunday to remember our truth. So think of Sunday service as rest stops along our path. This does not mean that we'll live a life of bliss or we won't experience challenges or fear or pain. We will experience life from a place of our true self, a spiritual being experiencing life. So when you look inside, what do you see? Is life hard, or is everything an opportunity to learn? Is life scary, or is everything an opportunity to experience something new? Is life painful, or is everything an opportunity to surrender and accept? Michael Singer says, only by accepting reality can we work with the flow of life as it passes by and creates a better world. Science of Mind teaches spiritual practices, and we discuss spiritual principles every Sunday so we can choose to experience heaven on earth. So how do we experience life? So all kinds of stuff is happening in the outside world, and what's going on out there is not the same as what's going on inside of us. Remember, everything is made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons, all energy and always changing. Our emotions are reflections of our past experiences and control our energy flow. Our emotions can help us identify the baggage and false beliefs that we need to release. Our thoughts are created by our mind as it processes the outside world. Where do they come from, and why don't they stop? So what do you see right now? How are you feeling right now? What are you saying to yourself right now? Who's thinking about dining with the dude's lunch right now? Who can smell the cooking and it reminds you of a family experience? Who wants me to hurry so we can go eat? It won't make me feel bad. So the movie Inside Out. How many people have seen the movie Inside Out? If you haven't had the opportunity to see this movie, this is one of the best movies of all times, I think. And it is a family movie of that everybody in their family should watch it together. I think I even watched it with my dad, right? Because I wanted him to get this emotion stuff, right? So, but anyway, so the reason why I love this movie so much is it does a really good job of explaining our emotions. The main characters is joy, sadness, disgust, anger, and fear. And all through the movie, I could relate with each one of those main characters. So just imagine, so you can see in this picture here, you can see that they're looking out and the little girls are looking through the little girls' eyes to see what's going on out there in the world. And just imagine that that's who we are. We are actually the one that's inside, and we are looking at that big screen. Michael Singer explains that the way that we experience life outside of us is through our senses: sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. So we don't experience the world out there. We experience the world inside of us on our big screen. Our brain creates a chemical reaction and associates or interprets the information based on past experiences that projects an associated image on the big screen. Right? So everything that's going on around us on the outside has nothing to do with what's going on the inside, right? So our brain is creating this chemical reaction. So why are we having all of these emotional feelings about stuff that's going on around us? So just like the big screen that we see up here, that's what we're seeing on the inside of us. So what's going on inside of you? Are you sitting there relaxed and eating popcorn? Or are you running around with your hair on fire? Can we begin to see that life is experiences passing by on the big screen? Our mind is processing the information through our senses, using past experiences to communicate to our soul, and we are the person inside watching all of this happen. Can we begin to see that our life experiences and the people that we interact with are providing us opportunities to grow? One of our mottos is, change your thinking, change your life. And all the spiritual leaders believe that it's an inside job. So the board, we've been studying the book, the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. So we read a chapter, and when we're doing our check-in during our board meeting at the beginning, we talk about that spiritual law, and we talk about how it relates to our life. And so one of the spiritual laws that we just discussed is one of my favorite ones, and it was like perfect timing, like divine right order. All this was coming together for me. But the chapter was on the law of detachment. And Deepak Chopra says this: the wisdom of uncertainty opens doors to possibilities, and the comfort from known conditions keep us prisoners of the past. So let me say that again. The wisdom of uncertainty opens doors to possibilities. The comfort from known conditions keep us prisoners of the past. We are looking at the big screen within us. The images displayed are images created from our past experiences that associate with what is happening in the outside world. Our mind creates the images of what we know from our past. If we can stay present in the moment, in the uncertainty of the experience, we step into the field of possibility. We allow the creative process to unfold. We grow versus staying stuck in our past. Bless you. Our spiritual practice is to stay in the uncertainty, the law of detachment. And our faith is knowing that God is always supporting us, guiding us, and life only moves in one direction, to higher expressions of good. So there's a lot going on inside, and I don't even know how we interact with each other. Our mind is an incredible processing machine. The universal mind of God is orchestrating all life. I can barely comprehend my life. Our mind processes all the outside information through association of past experiences, and it talks to us. The mind talks to us in 2 ways, through our thoughts and our emotions. Our thoughts are like the small voice inside of us that never shuts up, judging and labeling everything. Michael Singer started his journey of self-discovery because he wanted to quiet the mind chatter. We know that we cannot stop it, but we can learn to manage it through our meditation practice, This Tibetan Buddhist meditation master, Chongyang Chongpang, he's a Tibetan Buddhist meditation master. I'll just say that. This is what he says about meditation. Meditation is not a matter of trying to achieve ecstasy, spiritual bliss, or tranquility, nor is it attempting to become a better person. It is simply the creation of a space in which we are able to expose and undo our neurotic games, our self-deceptions, our hidden fears and hopes. There's a lot going on inside of our head, and we process so much information, and a lot of it just flows through. So when you drove in this morning, do you remember everything that you saw on the way in here? Do you remember everything that you smelled or you heard or maybe even you touched? So we don't even give it a second thought. But when our mind zeroes in on an object or a situation and it gets our conscious attention, that's where the small voice takes over. Michael Singer uses the example of rattlesnakes and butterflies. We're either clinging to a thought or resisting the thought. Both create blockages of the energy that's flowing through our life. So Mark and I go mountain biking every weekend. or try to go every weekend. I went this weekend. It was beautiful. And we have seen snakes on the bike path. We have never been bitten, but we are terrified to death of snakes, right? And so we can be riding along, and if we see a stick, if we see something in the road, then we're going to slow down and stop because of fear that it might be a snake, right? We've never been bitten, but there's that fear there, right? Where's that coming from? Where's that fear coming from? And then another example, about when I love that he used snakes and butterflies, because the other examples is, I remember years ago I went to a butterfly pavilion when I was living in Dallas, and that was the most beautiful experience I've ever experienced. It was a big screened-in tent, and it had all these plants in there, had all these kids running around screaming like always, and it was just a big family event. But it was so beautiful going in there and just seeing all the butterflies flying around, right? And then I even remember when the butterfly landed on me, right? And I can still remember that today. And then even when I see a butterfly, it brings me joy. It makes me feel that loving experience, you know, similar to what Kathy feels about her chickens. But anyway, so that experience of that loving experience stays with me. So I can just see a butterfly and it reminds me of that love, that calmness, that peaceness, right? That I experienced. But have you ever seen a butterfly up close? They actually are pretty scary. They're scarier than what a snake looks like. So every time I see a stick laying on the bike path, I'm afraid. Every time I see a butterfly, I feel happy and I feel love. We are experiencing the outside world based on our past experiences that our mind is telling us what to think and even what we will experience. Can we learn to detach from our thoughts, stay present and open to the possibilities life has to offer? Can we stay centered and have faith that God is always supporting us, guiding us, and life only moves in one direction, to the highest expression of good? So the other way our mind talks to us is through our emotions. Michael Singer says, a very important aspect of spiritual growth is understanding and the dynamics of the opening and closing of the heart. Our emotions and feelings come from the heart. The source of our energy comes from our heart. And when our heart is open, we feel like we can fly. But when our heart is closed, we can barely get out of bed. The majority of the time, our mind is processing all this information from the outside, and we don't even notice. But let someone or something remind us of a past experience. We feel the disturbance in the force. That line in the Star Wars movie about the feeling that force, that disturbance in the force, has a whole new meaning for me, right? If the past experiences was unpleasant, we will become fearful or upset, and our heart will begin to close. If the experience was pleasant or joyful, our heart will open. So I'll tell you, the other day I had a situation with my dog Axel. I locked him in the car. So I usually, especially when it cools off, I do it all the time. I take him with me almost everywhere, and it's probably a bad thing because he really thinks he needs to go with me every place I go. But so I went to the grocery store on Friday, and I usually will park someplace in the shade, and I'll leave the car running. I'll lock the car with the air conditioner running, so that way he's in there and he's okay. And then I'll run in the store and get what I need and come back out. Well, recently I had some repairs done on my driver's side door. And the locking mechanism, whenever they fixed the door, they didn't repair back that locking mechanism. And so I couldn't lock the door with my key. It's a remote unlock, but you can also lock it with your key. Well, I was trying to figure out, I'm like, I can't leave this door unlocked. I'm not going to leave it unlocked. And, I'm more worried about somebody letting Axel out than I am about stealing my car. So I'm thinking about, what can I do? And so I'm like, well, I know what I'll do. So I went over to the passenger side. I got in the car, locked the car down. I unlocked the passenger door. I got out. I locked the door, and I shut the door, and it locked. And then I thought, well, if the key won't lock the door, it's not going to unlock the door. So I was like, oh my God, now what am I going to do? So here's the funny part. So of course I got a little excited about it. He's just having a good time in there, right? But I didn't beat myself up. I wasn't afraid. I didn't panic. I didn't worry. I was okay. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And what I remembered Mark has AAA. I called Mark and I said, hey, this is what's going on. I need you to call AAA so they can come out here and let it, unlock the door so I can get Axel out. And so he called AAA and he even told them that we had a dog locked in the car. So that expedited the service. So we had somebody there like in 10 or 15 minutes. And then 5 minutes, the door was unlocked. It happened that fast. But the point that, oh, well, that's the rest of the story, Janice. So after I got the car unlocked, I went home, I took Axel home, and then I went back to the store to get my groceries. I told him he had to stay home by himself. But the point that I want to make here is that I didn't beat myself up. I didn't go into fear, into panic, into worry, and oh my God, the sky is falling. Instead, I just took a breath and like, oh, what can we do? And it all fixed itself within 30 minutes. It was all back to normal again. So Michael Singer talks about having all this unfinished business or experiences that create all this blockage in our body, and it keeps the energy from flowing. This unfinished business is something that we experience, and we still have resistance to it. The resistance can be to push it away or to cling to it. And because we have the resistance to it, the experience gets stuck inside us. So just imagine a stream that is flowing, and then there's all these rocks and these boulders in that stream. And you can see how those rocks and boulders, they keep the water from flowing smoothly and harmoniously. The experiences that we are resisting create these false beliefs. They create these blockages in the flow and that energy of our life. And now we are experiencing a current event through the lens of our past. When we feel a change in the force and we feel an emotion, Michael Singer encourages us to feel the feelings and do not resist it. In that moment, we cannot change anything. So in any moment that we're in, we cannot change it, but we can surrender. And then we will become centered in the truth and experience life. And we'll stay open to expressing life in a new way. Because of the baggage that we carry around and all the judgments and labeling that we're doing, it's hard for us to experience God. So with all this stuff going on the outside, how are we ever going to experience heaven on earth? I believe, like I said earlier, I believe that we are experiencing heaven on earth in God today. So just remember a time when you experienced love from a family member, from a friend, a romantic partner, or even your pet. Or you stopped and experienced beauty in your life. That's why I love art, because art reminds me of God. Or you experienced abundance. Everything in your life is flowing perfectly, and all the pieces were coming together, and you felt like life was supporting you every step of the way. We experience God qualities all the time. The experience in heaven on earth. The question is, do you pause and allow yourself to feel God's love? Do we take a second and pause and feel that experience and remember what that feeling feels like? So I have a simple practice that I started a long time ago, and it's appreciating the beauty of a full moon. And we have a full moon tonight, if you haven't noticed. It's a beautiful full moon because I was out walking Axel this morning very early, and we saw it, and we paused, and we had a conversation about it, and we both enjoyed it. And so every time I see that moon, I stop, and I feel the love, I feel the beauty, I see the joy in that full moon. It's just, I don't know where it came from, but I just a practice that I've done for many, many years now. And it just reminds me of being part of something so much more when I experience and take that time out. But this practice has opened me up to pausing and experiencing more God in my life. So every Sunday we talk about God, heaven, and how we talk about God and heaven and how we're in it. We're always in it. We focus on our spiritual practice that help us navigate through life. I cannot say enough about meditation. Michael Singer's story inspires me to meditate more. Cheryl, our Cheryl here, she offers meditation before service every Sunday and even during the week. So you can start this simple practice. Meditation in a group is very, very powerful. I remember when I first started coming to West Valley, we used to have a bunch of chairs in the very back of the room, and it was a full house back there. Every chair was full, and we were all coming together and meditating before the service. It was a beautiful experience. So you just need to show up, and God will do the rest. So Michael Singer provides 3 spiritual practices that can change your life so we can experience more God in our life. So the first one is positive affirmations. So positive affirmations help us stay centered regardless of the conditions. Because sometimes the conditions, we forget who we really are, and that affirmation helps us stay centered. But let's take it a step further. Why not allow our practice to be positive affirmations about ourselves and no longer say anything negative about yourself, to yourself? Okay? So if you're still doing that today, let that be your practice in addition to your positive affirmations. I experienced that a few years back. That was my practice for a whole year, is that if I ever said anything negative about myself to myself, that I had to replace it with something positive. Today, I don't say anything negative about myself ever. No matter what I do wrong or any experience that I have, I don't ever beat myself up. If anything, I'm a big cheerleader for myself. So the next one is mantras. Mantras help us choose our thoughts versus our thoughts running our lives, okay? So that and I have a mantra that I learned when I went to Bali like 20 years ago. We went on a spiritual group, went together, and we said the mantra every morning. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And we would say it every morning, and so that mantra stuck with me. And so I say that mantra, and I've taught that the mantras really work. So when your mind is racing or my mind is racing, what I would just start saying the mantra until that thought that I don't want to have anymore would subside. And if I'd stop and I started thinking about it again, then I would start saying the mantra again, right? And then it would help me get through that point of not thinking what I don't want to think. But Michael Singer has an idea, a suggestion that I am practicing today, and I love this, is he says, say your mantra all the time, right? So I say it in the morning when I get up, I say it when I'm brushing my teeth, I say it in the shower, I say it when I'm driving. Sometimes I may be standing there right beside you, and I may be saying it to myself, right? So I'm saying that mantra all the time. And the reason why is, so you remember that, when there's a song that you really like and you hear, and you can just hear the first tune or first couple of words to the lyrics, and you know that song and you can start singing that song. Well, by saying your mantra to yourself over and over again, it's really easy to tap into that vibration. It's really easy to center yourself back into that place of your true self. And so that's my practice today, and I invite you to if you have a mantra, to start doing that as well. And I've been doing it now for the last couple of months, and I've just been really enjoying it. So the third thing he talks about is relax and release. And this is probably the most challenging of the 3 spiritual practices because it requires us to surrender and accept what is and release any emotions or feelings that come up. So I have to share with you, so I read his first book, Untethered Soul, about, I think it was 2 years ago or so. And when I read it, and I read the chapter about surrendering, I was really triggered. And I even had to come in and talk to Reverend Karen about it because I'm like, I just cannot surrender. I was really struggling with that whole concept about surrendering. Remember, whatever's happening right here and now, we can't change it, right? And so I was really struggling with it. Then when I'm reading Living the Untethered Soul, Mark and I were on vacation a couple months ago, and he talks about surrendering again, and I had that same experience. So I realized that you talk about emotions coming up, so I realized I have something I need to work on. Mark thought he did something wrong, but I'm like, no, I said, I read this section in this book, and it really bothers me, and I'm trying to work through it and be okay with it, and I'm struggling with it. And so I have more work to do around it, right? But here's the wonderful thing about meditation. Meditation allows us to become observers of our thoughts and our feelings. And then when we can begin to choose what we want to experience in life. When we are present in the moment, experiencing what life has to offer, we stay open to the possibilities and new adventures. So I want to add a fourth practice, and that is pray with the practitioner. So we haven't been doing this and pushing this as much, but it's time. It's time. We are back, getting everything back to normal again. And so we have practitioners here on site. And so I want us to begin praying with our practitioners again. So if you need prayer, you can fill out the prayer request box like Sue brought up. But we also have practitioners after service so they can pray with you right here, right? And that is not only a gift to you, but it's a gift to each person that prays with you, because in order for us to know the truth for you, we have to know the truth for ourselves first, right? So it is truly a gift to us to pray with you. So please join us for prayer after service if you need it. There's always a practitioner available. When we do our spiritual practice and remove all the false beliefs and surrender, we will experience heaven and God. We will experience all the qualities of God: love, beauty, health, wealth. We'll experience joy and peace and harmony. What we are looking for is already here. So I want to close with a quote from Ernest Holmes that reminds us that we can experience heaven on earth. This is what Ernest says: Only that can return to heaven which was born in heaven, and since heaven is not a place but a state of consciousness, the return must be a recognition that heaven is already within. And so it is. So let us pray. So as we take a nice, deep, cleansing breath, that breath of fresh air, that breath of possibilities, we just simply remember that there is no place where God is not. We remember that there's only this one life, and that life is God's life. We remember that life is beauty. Life is peace. Life is joy. Life is harmony. Life is abundance. Life is good. And as we recognize all of these beautiful qualities of God that are surrounding us and lifting us, we also remember the truth about ourselves, that we are that individualized expression of God, that all of the qualities of God is already available to us right here and right now, and we get to choose how much of it we want to experience. We recognize that each one of us is on this beautiful journey called life, unfolding just perfectly for us, to remind us of our truth, to allow us to experience the experiences that we need to experience, so we can release those hidden beliefs, those baggages that weigh us down, so we can experience more God, more love, heaven on earth. And so I know as we move through this day, we move through our life, that we're on this journey called life. And we have our practices, our spiritual practices, that we use to support us, to reveal to us our truth, to experience that connection with one another and with the connection of life itself. I know that each person is that beautiful expression. Each person, regardless of the conditions, regardless of what we're going through, is whole, perfect, complete, just the way they are. And God is present in that moment with each person, right here and right now. So we just simply open ourselves up to experience whatever needs to be experienced. We open ourselves up for the possibilities of expressing and experience life in a new way, because we know that we are guided by that divine wisdom, that we are supported every step of the way, and we're surrounded by that loving spirit. So I'm so grateful to know this truth for each one of us, that life is good. I'm so grateful to know that we have spiritual practices that we can lean on that help us guide us through life and help us reveal the truth of who we are. And I'm grateful for this community because we come together not only to honor one another, to support one another, but to remember our truth, that we are that loving expression here to experience and express life itself. So I just simply bless everyone, all things, because it's all God. And I release my prayer into the law, knowing it's already done. And together we say, and so it is.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
Thank you, Bradfords. As always, gorgeous. So it's now our time for our giving and receiving. And if you will repeat this affirmation with me, I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Just 15 years saying that over and over. Some days. So we don't pass the plate any longer, so there's an offering box there on the way into Papke Hall, one back in the corner, and one out on home space. So please drop your gifts and tithes into one of those boxes, and know that we can also give through our stewardship giving program online, and so just give in whatever manner works for you. So thank you all. Before we start the last song, I will just take a moment. So if you look at the stole that Tracy Herrick is wearing right now, it is a different stole because 2 years, 3 years, Tracy, how long? 4 years. For the last 4 years, she's been in ministerial school, and as of this past week, she passed all of her oral panels. So, and I will tell you that she inspired me to get off my stuff and enroll in ministerial school. So thank you for that inspiration. So now it's time, if we will go ahead and rise for our closing song.
Sing that. It feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. Now sing it. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. One more time. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Woo.
Oops. All right, so let's say our closing affirmation together. If you can just repeat after me. I commit to my spiritual practices. And so it is. I am not going to show you guys affirmation anymore.